Let's be honest, having people who are jerks or rude add a lot of flavor to a story. They could really bring contrast to the other characters, make it an exciting moment for everybody, and generally just be somebody fun to add some, well, really unique dialogue. However, they're annoying, and they're rude, and a lot of the times, while for some reason people tend to root for jerks in stories, jerks in real life are not people we want to be around. So how do you play that type of character at your table without being an absolute pain about it? Well, I think there's genuinely a way to do it. One, communicate very clearly and openly at the very first front. Let the entire table know that you want to play this jerk, but you don't want to get on the player's bad side. You don't want to get under their skin, so ask them, is there anything in particular that would really bug you if this character picked at? But at the same time, you still want to somehow be likable and be rooted for. Nobody wants somebody at the table who everybody just wants to get humbled over and over and over again. At least, not unless they know they're going to learn their lesson eventually. So what do? See, there's one particular type of character that I've seen many times who people seem to love despite the fact that he was a genuine a-hole, and that's Tony Stark or Iron Man. No matter which media you're looking at, comics, movies, games, Tony Stark is always portrayed as this very arrogant individual, and yet somehow people constantly root for him, despite the fact that I know for a fact that if a lot of us knew him in real life, we'd want nothing to do with him.
You know, the question I get asked most often is, Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in a suit? Just like that.
At least not until he had learned his lesson. So what do? Well, one, I think one of the most important things about Tony is despite how much of an arrogant jerk he is, we see that he's broken. He deals with a massive amount of addiction and alcoholism across most of the stories he's in. Not only that, we see how sad he is. Yes, there are moments where he pushes back and he's a jerk and he's an a-hole and he shoves people out of his life, but we see the moments of regret that he has after doing these things. He does so because it's a defense mechanism, not because he genuinely wants to, and that is one of the most core aspects of playing a character like this, is being able to understand that you have to portray that your character is unhappy with the way that they're acting, or at least the consequences of it. If you constantly just have this character act like a jerk and it seems like they're happy to be a jerk, I mean, what are you accomplishing at that point?
MODOK, microbots, mind control, me, mend, miracle. If you want to smash someone, MODOK's right behind you.
All you're doing is pissing off the rest of your party and communicating that your character's never going to learn a lesson. Remember, all characters must have wants and needs, where the need is something they have to learn to be more happy, but the wants are what they want to achieve and think are their needs. And for Tony specifically, his want was to be seen as invincible. Over all of his stories, the Iron Man suit is oftentimes just an example of his desire to protect himself. He has been harmed, he has been hurt, he has been emotionally damaged, and while the suit protects him from the outside, it is also an allegory for the damage he's received on the inside and his attempt to protect himself. And his snarkiness, his humor, and his arrogance are all just forms of protection to keep people from being able to hurt them. If I don't show that I care about them, they don't think they can hurt me.
It's not helping.
No, this is detachable. Okay? It's not a...
You don't need that.
I know I had the surgery. I'm just trying to protect us. Future us's, and that's it. Just in case there's a monster in the closet, instead of, you know...
Shirts.
You know me so well.
And this is something important to remember. Narcissism is the extreme end of insecurity. Nobody believes that much in themselves unless they're attempting to compensate and protect what is inward. Those who are confident that they are inwardly strong don't feel the need to constantly project a shield around themselves. And the case is the same for this archetype. So make sure that your character has displayed that they are unhappy with their circumstance. Even if their own actions are not unhappy with, the consequences of their actions they should be unhappy with. Otherwise, it will constantly come across as a character who's never going to learn their lesson. And why would anybody care about that? If the person is a jerk, why keep them around? But number two, one of the reasons that people like Tony so much despite the fact that he's a jerk, is the fact that he has something to back things up. It's very frequent that we see people enjoy characters who are jerks, but what is the common trend with those? They have something to back it up. I've seen people idolize people like Vegeta, or Bakugo, or Rick Sanchez, or Tony Stark. Now, one thing that I think everybody's missing from that is they idolize them because they have this cocky exterior, right? They constantly project this arrogance that they're better than everybody else, and the stories that they're in tend to prove that they are typically better than everybody else. The thing that's being missed, however, by the people who are idolizing those characters is that those characters are unhappy with the way that they are. They are not happy about it, and that arrogance is only a projection. Despite the fact that, yes, they are typically better than everybody else in the ways that they are happy to be intelligent or strong, it doesn't mean that they are happy with how they are internally, and that is a crucial portion of it. But that being said, they still do back up all of their arrogance with power, intelligence, or something of the sort. And in order to be able to root for these characters, I think we need to see the moments of them winning. Yes, it's important to show that they are hurting on the inside, but nobody wants to root for somebody who's just constantly getting hurt all the time, regardless of anything. We want to see them win and see that they have moments where they do feel proud of themselves, where that narcissism isn't just narcissism, but they do actually have something within themselves that they are proud of. And so, no matter what TTRPG you're playing, I would recommend you strongly try and make your character powerful. Don't have them just be arrogant for the sake of being arrogant. Let them prove it behind themselves. Am I actually advocating for optimization here? Yeah, of course. Make sure that your character does have a reason to be that arrogant, only so that you can set them farther up for the fall. The more they think they're powerful, the more they think they're strong, the more it will hurt when they inevitably fail. And that is a great storytelling moment that can be used to bring everything together. When your character finally gets down, when they finally get hurt, when something really bad happens, now your character has to evaluate that they weren't strong enough for that, and if their strength was the one thing that they were confident in, if their strength was the one thing that they truly did feel like they had going for them, when that's gone, what's left? A sad person who has to self-reflect and understand that they need to grow, they need to change, they need to do more, and that is good, unique, exciting storytelling. When somebody hits their lowest low, the only place they can go is their highest high at that point, and that is such a good setup for storytelling. So you have to make sure that you've set it up for that great fall so that they can rise even higher above and now actually have confidence in themselves outside of just their strength. It also allows another player to be able to approach your character and have a heart-to-heart conversation when they're at their lowest low. And if that happens, I would genuinely encourage you to do that, to let that happen and not push away on it. Maybe have your character half-heartedly say something sarcastic, half-heartedly try to push them away, but genuinely realize they need somebody in that moment.
Still alive! He must have realized his mistake and run away.
Dude, come on, it's just me.
I don't get it. I trained so hard. I reached a new level. And yet...
Trust me, man, I get you. I mean, my neck's still stiff from earlier.
These are the moments that make those characters lovable. Yes, there is some likable traits about them, but for the most part, they're just jerks and a-holes. But when you look at it, when they have that moment of vulnerability, of understanding, and choose to grow, that's what takes that character from being just the worst to genuinely lovable and a great realized character. Those are the moments you should focus on, and I think that makes it ultimately one of the best experiences possible. If you want to hear about how to play more archetypes like this, you can go right here, where I have a large playlist with all of my videos on this. Go out in the world and make it your own.